morning, everybody. I'm Melisa Nielsen with Waldorf Essentials. Welcome to today's video. Today, I'm going to talk a bit about communication and then a little bit about some other things too. One of the first things I want to talk about is slow down. Slow down, Mom. When I look at, and please, I'm not saying that you can't ever message me because I'm happy to have you ask. I'd rather have you ask than have you not ask. But I would say 30 to 40% of the messages, emails, PMs that I get are questions that are easily answered from what's in front of you. And so my request for everybody is to slow down. Moms seem to be in such a hurry, and I get it. I used to be in that place. I used to be in the really frantic place. And so if you feel your stomach tight and your butt tight and like you might have word vomit if you're not careful, then you need to sort of step back and really evaluate, do I need to slow down? When we are running 1,000,000 miles an hour, we're not thinking, we're not very effective. Our kids know it. We yell more. We're stressed out. We fight with our partner more. All of those things that happen just because we're going too fast. And so slowing down allows us to read more and be more conscious. It allows us to respond better to our children. It allows us to respond better to our partner. It allows us to be fully present when we're asking for somebody's help. So all of those things all have to do with slowing down. So I'm just going to just put it in there, and it's something that I've been talking about a lot lately, slowing down. And a lot of it is because I'm seeing a lot of moms that are having health conditions and issues that all revolve around stress. And so I'm just wanting you to just slow down. I want you today, just be very conscious of it. I want you, if you are rushing today, I want you to stop. Take a deep breath, recenter yourself, ask yourself why you're in such a hurry, and then go forward. There is nothing, unless you're an ambulance driver, that requires you to be in such a hurry. Nothing. One thing I learned early on as a mom is that, hi Elizabeth, is that when I'm already going to be late for something, guess what? I'm already late. So you text the person that you're going to be late for and you just say, I'm going to get there as soon as I can. Do not make yourself a crazy person trying to get there 3 minutes earlier than what you were going to be. So it's really about sort of thinking about the big picture. It's also about planning. When you plan more, then you're not late and you're not running behind. And it could be very simple things like kids' shoes by the front door, knowing where they are before I go to bed at night. If I need kids to get up and go do something the next day, I make sure that all the clothes are picked out. I make sure that I know where their shoes are and where the dang toothbrushes are because somehow those get lost. I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, I make sure I know where those things are because those are the things I'm going to want to ask them to do first thing in the morning. So also make sure that you give an appropriate amount of responsibility to your kids. So if you've got kids that are 5+ and you are doing everything for them, you need to stop. You need to be able to say, shoes on, brush your teeth. You need to be able to say those simple tasks to them. You don't want to use too many words. And I just do it. I'm doing my own thing. So they're seeing. So they need to be able to, really imitate what you're doing. But I want you to look at that and look at those pieces in your home that are making you crazy and go, okay, I need to fix those so I can slow down. Slow down. Take a deep breath. Read something twice. I've been playing a game with myself in the last probably 2 years. Since my stroke, which was 3 years ago, I've been really working to rebuild a lot of memory pathways in my head. So I rely often on what the Spirit says. And so if I'm typing out a response to somebody, I listen and I go, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I better go read that original post again. 9 times out of 10, when I'm getting that prompting to slow down, it's because the answer to the question I'm asking is in that original post. So then that changes what I'm asking. So you've got to get to this place where you are listening and responding in a slower place. And so many internet fights that I'm seeing, it makes me frustrated to see so many women that are amazing women fighting about things that honestly, at the end of the day, really what I want you to do is just be with your kids and have a good time and work your truth. And if you are really passionate about something, do something positive about it. Don't attack somebody on the internet about it. Be positive, because that's what creates, that's the awesome energy that sort of creates worlds, the worlds that we want to live in. The negativity doesn't create that. That creates like nasty stuff that doesn't feel good. So that's my bit about slowing down today. The real topic today is communication. So Eric and I work with a lot of couples, and I've worked with several the last 2 weeks. We work with a couple on the internet, actually probably 3 or 4 on the internet right now via PM, and those are people that are part of our Lifetime program or part of our Thrive program, and we just sort of work with them, work them through struggles, and one of the biggest things that I'm seeing is communication. Dad thinks one thing, mom's doing something else. He's confused, and so then he might snap at something she's doing, and it just then goes and it escalates from here to here to here to here. And we're seeing it over and over and over again with the people that we're working with. And often it's dad is not responding well, but maybe it's that mom has kept him in the dark. And so I want you to, if you're listening, either live or later, I have an assignment for you and your partner. And the assignment is this. And those of you who have been following along with our Planning for Peace journal, this is one of the assignments that you've had. I want you to rate your marriage or your partnership from 1 to 10. 10 being amazing, can't be any better, I have everything that I want, and 1 being we might just walk off a cliff together. Because it's both of us realize how bad it is. I want you to rate it, and I want you to ask him to rate it. And if he doesn't want to tell you what it is, he is welcome to send me a PM or an email, waldorfessentials@gmail.com, and tell me what it is. And then especially if it's bad, because then it sounds like we might need to do some work. So what do I want you to do with those ratings? Well, I want you to really and truly, I would hope that you would communicate. So I'll tell you what mine is. Mine is an 8. And mine is only an 8 because what would make it a 10 is if Eric and I had unlimited amounts of time together. There's 0 other things that would make it a 10. And so, I would go through, how are we communicating? How are we with being loving to each other? How are we with working together with the kids? I'm thinking about all of these things. These are all things that make it an 8. I told him last week the sexiest thing that you do for me, is, 2 things. 1, he says on a daily basis when he sees me getting frustrated, how can I help? Those are amazing words for a man to say to a woman. So ladies, if you're watching without your husbands, I'd really like for you to have your husband watch us today. Send it to him. The other the other things that are absolutely amazing to me is I've been traveling a lot with Waldorf Essentials and seeing some amazing people. And guess what? That means my family has to stay at home and I'm away from them. And there isn't a person on the planet that I would trust more than their dad. He is an amazing human being. But he isn't an amazing human being because he and I haven't learned together and worked together, and because I haven't sort of said, here's the things that are really important to me, and he's looked at those and gone, oh, I can understand why those are important to you. Yes, of course. I'm going to work on keeping bedtime where it should be, and I'm going to make sure that they don't eat, Twinkies while you're gone. And I can't speak for my teenager, but at least for the children that he's seeing constantly. So that's really sexy to me, that I can be able to say those things to him, and he is like, yeah, I'm on it. So I've spent the last 2 weeks traveling, and my house didn't burn down, and my kids are well nourished, and they slept, and they had some struggles, but that wasn't because of Dad. That was because they were excited to see me and missing me. And so I want you to think about your relationship in those terms. And I didn't worry once, not once, while I was gone. 0. Because I knew they were really good hands. So I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that as you're sort of scoring things in your marriage. And if you would not be comfortable with, and he taught lessons while I was gone. He taught lessons. He did Ellie's physics stuff for 2 weeks. and he did Sam's human being in the animal world stuff, and he did stories for Soraya. So he did lessons. He did 3 lessons a day, 3 days a week. He took them to co-op, and all of the other stuff that they do. And you know what? He's an amazing man, but he is not more amazing than most of your husbands or partners. You just have to communicate. So I communicate what it is. Like he said to me before I left, show me where the lesson plans are. And I even said, you do not have to do all of this. If you get a quarter of this done, I will be so happy. He did it all. Because I left it open and I didn't dictate, this is how you have to do it, because he's watched me. He knows. And so we communicate a lot. And it's not a communicating of me going like this. It's him being open and saying, okay, you have a way you do this. So talk to me about how that is. And it's me being open enough to be able to say, well, this is how I do it. If you want to do it a little bit differently, I'm fine with that. And so we have to sort of let go a little bit, but we also need to communicate. That's so important with your relationships. You know, it's important with any relationship, but it is amazingly important with the one that you have with your partner, the person who parents your children. So if you are in a place right now where you would not rank your marriage, like ideally everybody would rank it at an 8. Ideally, I'm always amazed at the families that I meet that rank them really high, and then I get to see them interact in real life, and then I hear what Dad would rate it, and I go, yes, you guys have got it. You're doing it. You're thriving. And I love to see that. It feels so good to see that. And then it feels so sad to see ones that are like really down in the dumps, and they're both amazing people, and have amazing gifts. And I sort of stand in this place where I can see both, and I can see both her gifts and his gifts, and they've just forgotten how to see them in each other. And so that's like this really important piece. So if you are, actively in conflict with your partner, I want you to dial it back and think about communication. Think about what is it that you could do together that would actually like break down those walls. And it's not, I sort of talk and joke about stuff that goes on in the bedroom a lot, and that is incredibly, incredibly important, but that's not everything. It's how you talk to each other every day. It's the words that you use. It's the tone that you use. Cleric moms, I'm talking to you. The tone that you use, I get it because I'm cleric and I can be like, So no, it's your tone. Your tone is everything. It's everything with your kids. It's everything with your partner. It's everything with everybody that you talk to. So think about it. Do you have some rough edges that you need to sort of get some sandpaper out? Smooth off. Do you have those? If you do, then, then maybe it's time for a consult or talking about some inner work. Getting you out of management mode. Management mode is such a hard place to be in. Moms get stuck there. And often when moms get stuck there, that's when their marriages are the at the worst, or they wouldn't rate them at an 8. Somebody did ask me, would you rate yours at an 8 every day? And yeah, I would, but it's okay if it's different on different days. Although I would, if you're rating it a 1 one day and a 5 one day and a 7 one day, that's not okay. It needs to be sort of consistent. And because even if Eric and I aren't agreeing about something, I still would rate our marriage an 8. So often when people would say that, like is it different on different days? I would go, but even when it's like when you're in a disagreement, surely you still love this person, like with all your heart and soul, and that you want what's best for them. And so that's really where your rating should come from. It should come from that space of how much love you have for that person. And if you are really struggling, listen, I get it. I have a husband. He is no longer. And so I understand that, I love the way Kelly says, she calls it her practice husband. I love that. It was good practice. It was a lot of practice though. So, I get that. I get being in that space. And honestly, only when you've had your fill, your limit. Because there are women that I look at and I go, oh, surely you're done by now. And they're not. And they go on for 5 more years. And then they fix things. And I go, wow, that's like I must be a really impatient person. No, I don't think so. But anyway, I think that only you know when you're done, and only you know when you've tried so many times that you can't work anymore. Only you know when you are in a space where you feel like you're not. It's not just about being her, but where you're not safe, whether it be because of addiction or other issues. So only you know those things, and those are really heart-wrenching things. I think that I've done a lot of really hard things in my life, but I think the times going through my divorce, if I was ever near any kind of like depression place, that would have been it, because that was really, really hard. And I know it was hard for him too. So, and really hard for my children. Would I change it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, because the blessings came after that, when I decided that I didn't want my kids, my boys especially, to think that it was okay to talk to women like that. And so, I think it's really important that, and I didn't want to continue to give my not best self, because I wasn't my best self. I was stressed out constantly and struggling, and so and in looking back on that, I know that he was struggling too, and I know he still struggles, and I pray for him and try to send him good things, even though he makes me crazy, and that's always going to be the case. That's why we got divorced, and so but there's so much more that was in store for my life, and I'm definitely not a proponent of divorce, definitely not, or of parting with your parents or with your children's other parent, but I am a proponent of living a happy life, of living a healthy life. Healthy is the important part there. Emotionally healthy life. And that can be really hard in some situations. So if you're feeling like you're in that spot, my heart goes out to you, because I've been there. And, I'm happy to help anybody who's in that spot, because that's a really hard one to be in. Even if it's just to give you a pat on the shoulder and to tell you that it's going to be okay, because it is going to be okay. The sun does come up tomorrow. It just sometimes doesn't seem like that. But if you are in a spot where you are, you both just kind of gotten into management mode, and he's managing and you're just not, you're kind of doing this, you're not coming together and talking and sort of enmeshing yourself together, then my prayer for you is that you will stop this week and you will be very mindful. And it starts with just giving a hug at the end of the day. So if you don't want to hug your partner, then you're going to ask yourself why you don't want to hug your partner, because I think that's a really important thing. And hugging, and not a quick hug, a long hug, a hug where you can feel peace and love in it, and where you can send that. And so just watch yourself this week. Watch yourself and really be thinking about what it is that you're doing and what it is that he's doing, and how or she, and how you can come together if you're really struggling with that. And talk, communicate, excuse me, and don't communicate in a defensive way. In fact, I wouldn't even use, I just would be like, I know we're struggling, and I don't want to struggle anymore, and I love you. What can I do? And what can we do to come together? Now, by saying that in a tone of, hey, I really want to work on this, that's much different from, I know we're struggling. What are we going to do about it? That's so different. Tone is everything. How you feel about it is everything, and sort of what you're bringing to it. So again, my prayer for you this week is that you will take the time to communicate, and that you'll tell me about it. You don't have to post it here on the Facebook, but if you have been struggling and you really take up my challenge on communication, I would love to know how it went for you. And I'd love to know, what your partner thinks about the same thing. So I'm here if you need me. Again, it's waldorfessentials@gmail.com, or you can send me a message here through Facebook and I'll get it. So I hope you have a wonderful week.